Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. It is season 10, episode 900. It will take a year and a half to reach our goal of 1,000. Once they reach 1,000, you can expect a buck. But our goal right now is to focus on our goal of 1,000. Today, we are here with a professional, upcoming voiceover actor. I won't say who, but stay tuned after this quick commercial break, and you'll be surprised who's on the Keith Andrew Network. But before we go, first thing I want to say is, what is the Keith Andrew Network, you may ask? Whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. So prove to them you can stand out to something. So hashtag break the label. So that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to start off with the first question.
Hi, I'm Lorena Belcher, and I support the Keith Andrew Network. We just had a fantastic interview. It was the best time I've had all day. And reach out to him, touch base, and see about getting on his show, learn more about what he's doing. It's a fabulous thing.
So the very first question I want to ask you, okay, the camera's still on it. Very first question I want to ask you is, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you, Keith. My name is Lorena. I am a native Texan. You can probably pick that out from my accent, which has actually been something I've decided to kind of embrace in my career. A funny little story: when I began my voiceover training, I was working with some people who could kind of make you feel like your accent is going to be a hindrance, that it's going to minimize your market area. And it caused me some anxiety for a time. And then I thought, it's what I am. It's who I am. I'm going to embrace it and roll with it. I'm going to say, hey, y'all, whatever I damn well feel like it.
Oh, absolutely. And, you did bring up a good point about the accent. So I'm going to give you my opinion, but I also want to ask you about this. I had people on the show and says, we did a great interview, but my agent said I can't get roles because of my accent. First off, I think that's a lot of crap, number one. If you can embody the character and you have enough energy and people like you, then if you can get over this with the audience, that's the biggest battle, because my battle is getting over with the audience, because the audience is like, you say you have disabilities, but we don't see it, and you're doing a talk show, and people with disabilities don't do talk shows. So I'm finding with the audience is like, how can I make you happy? So with the voiceover industry, it's, if you have an accent, I think that's a bonus. Instead of asking people, hey, can you do a British accent? Can you do, an Asian accent? I can do, you're a born Texan. There you go. Half the battle done. So instead of asking people, can you put a face on? Wouldn't it be better to actually have the person that can actually do it from the start?
I believe so. I truly believe so. Anytime and of course in acting, you do pretend, that's part of the job, but at the core of it, we've always got to be our authentic self. And people see that and they know when you're being authentic and when you aren't. And it's much easier to like an authentic person, don't you think?
No, I agree. It's kind of like, well, I would save this one for later on, but it's true. It's, same thing about me. What you see is what you get. I'm not putting a face on. I'm sitting in a chair, but it's not a wheelchair for anyone out there. But I'm just saying, not saying that should haunt me or anything. But the point is you should be authentic. With John Cena, yes, he plays all these different characters, but if he's really authentic, for me, I don't have a good poker face. So I carry my emotions on my sleeve. So if something's bothering me, you're going to see it. I don't hide my emotions well. But same thing, with Breaking Bad. Why would you want to have someone who pretending to have a disability, even if The Rock, Van Diesel, and I do talk with my hands, force to have it. Fantastic actor.
I do too.
But you don't have to have someone pretend. Why can't you actually hire someone? Why can King Kong, the girl, she's actually deaf. There you go. You actually hired someone who has disabilities and who can represent the disability community. Instead of having someone pretend, it's kind of like, if you're going to do it right, do it right. Don't say, yeah, this person is too authentic. We like this person because it's a household name. Hands down, The Rock, John Cena, fantastic actors. And they can probably pretend to have disabilities, but you're not going to connect because they're playing pretend when you're actually trying to make a statement, if that makes any sense.
It does. And I have a question for you. Yes. So, as a person with a disability who is going out there and just doing amazing things, when you see an actor who does not have a disability portraying one, do you flinch a little bit because there's no way they can be as authentic? Do you remember back in the day, way back, you probably weren't even born yet, but back when they did the old Westerns and they had all the white people put on the black wigs and be Indians?
Yeah.
That probably offended every true Native American out there. It was just such a bad representation. So how do you feel about that?
Personally, I'm going to tell you a funny story. I don't take things, I don't take things personally. You have to laugh at it. My dad says, if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. And I don't feel like crying, so might as well laugh. I give you an example of what I mean. I used to work over, I'm just going to throw it out there. I used to work over at Walmart. And we were in the back room. And I'm like, okay, we have a TV. Might as well make use of it. I worked with someone else who had disabilities. He's an okay guy. We had some misunderstandings, but this is how it's going to lead into it. So I'm like, okay, well, we're here. You ask everyone, you mind if I watch TV? You mind if I put something on? No, you can go ahead, make sure it's something everyone would like. I put the Big Bang Theory on. And, Sheldon, actually, there's so many questions I want to ask you. I'm at a rhythm doing my talk show, but let me ask you this. Answering your question, Sheldon, is high functioning autistic. And he's nothing like that. It's the character. But he's a fantastic actor who can pretend to have these problems and how he deals with it. So the person I was working with came over, like this, and said, how can you laugh at someone who has disabilities? And I'm like, one, it's a TV show. Two, if he was making fun of people with disabilities, they would have pulled the TV show off the air and they wouldn't have gotten so many Emmys and Grammys.
Yes.
He is not making fun of people with disabilities. So
right.
We shared a taxi and he said, oh, I can't act. My thing is I like antagonizing people. That's kind of one of my downfalls. So I said to him,
needling.
Yes. So my thing is, I will puss and puss until the bottom breaks. He says, I can't never accept somebody like that. So I said, if someone's like, can you Keith, shut up, just shut up, Keith, don't do it, don't say it. And I said, can't or won't. And he spins around when he's in a taxi. How dare you ask me that kind of question? I just said, you said you can't accept somebody like that. So all I said is can't or won't. And so since then, he has this big balloon up his ass. PG-13. I like
but that's really what so much comes down to in our life. When we say we can't, very often it is just that we refuse to, we won't. And examining our own motivations to see why we throw out there that we can't accept something or can't do something, maybe we haven't looked deeply enough into it and why we feel the way we do.
Well, let me ask you for the first question. Did you find Selden offensive, number one? And number two, as being a native Texan, have you ever been dealing with stereotype and how did you overcome it?
Okay. I don't find much offensive. I try not to. I have tried as I've gotten older, I've really tried to not automatically let things offend me, because what I have realized is generally things that offend you, unless they are, acts of violence or prejudice, something that is just outright, wrong, everyone's going to agree it's wrong. But most of the things we take offense at are due to the conditioning of our upbringing and our preconceived notions. I mean, honestly, that's where prejudice arises from. Any number of things, religious, differences. We're brought up being told that something is a certain way. And so something that's different, sometimes our first reaction is, well, that offends me because it's not in my tool belt. It's not my usual thing. But you can really, really broaden your horizons by stopping and saying, okay, why does that offend me? Is it hurting me? Is it hurting anyone else? If it's not, live and let live, more or less. That's kind of the philosophy I've adopted in my older age. And secondly, have I ever been stereotyped? Oh, I have I have a voiceover workout group that I work with a couple of times a month, and we've gotten to be, pretty good friends. But they love, when I come onto the Zoom meeting, they're like, "Oh, y'all, there's Lori, you're Lorena," and it's just fun. It does not offend me. I don't sound like anybody else in the room,
Why do you want to be a carbon copy? I even said that on my website, on my website and my YouTube show. I show my very first interview. I was interviewed in Manhattan on public access, and looking back at it, using this guy as an example. At the time, I liked Bill O'Reilly because we used to watch him all the time. Now I know he's a phony. And he used to get my dad crazy, and he's like, all those school teachers. And I wasn't in school. You were in school 1 year, pal. My dad has been a teacher for 36 years. So when he tries to pass himself off as a school teacher, it isn't working. Also, with all the different scandals about Bill O'Reilly. But when I think about Bill O'Reilly, I think about, being a good reporter. Now looking at Fox News and all that, but I try to mirror what he does. And I like Bill Maher, so I can get up and be spontaneous and have fun. I like that whole thing. But as I said, and I just said to you, it's always good not to be a carbon copy. You want to be yourself, be authentic, and be real. And that's the message of my talk show. Yes, I read and learn at a 5th grade to middle school level. You can probably do laps around me, but hey, just because I learn at a slower pace, I'm going to show you what I'm capable of doing at my own speed. And for 8.5 years, 900 episodes, unofficially over 1,000. Don't get me started about that. But long story about that. But I'm breaking the status quo.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And I get anxiety when I try to put a ring light on my iPhone. So I think you're running laps around me. When it comes to technology, I like to walk up to the microphone and talk. And I've learned to enjoy editing. It used to really be like my own personal hell. But I think it's amazing you're jumping in here and you're recording and producing these shows, and I can barely video myself on to make a Facebook thing. So I'm thinking you rock.
Appreciate that. And you're not just saying that to put me over or
I'm serious. I am technologically challenged to a certain extent, and that is just because I've never really put the time and effort into learning how to do it well. This is what I believe, and I think you are an incredible example of this. Any human can just, if you put your mind to it and you really, really focus on it and believe in yourself, you're capable of anything. I mean, just amazing things.
I agree with you. And then, not to sound like the big elephant in the room, sometimes that's a bad thing too. Because you can do so many, like we can go into space, we can make robots. I've seen Terminator, I've seen how that worked out. Now they're trying to bring back dinosaurs. I'm like, nope, I've seen that before. But
yeah, Jurassic Park.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just referencing Jurassic Park when you were talking about the dinosaurs, and a big topic of controversial topic right now in the voiceover world is the introduction of artificial intelligent voices, and are they going to replace human voices? And in some cases, yes, they already are. But you can tell there's no authenticity in a robot voice. You can call and get a phone tree where it is completely robotic, and there are going to be people who are gonna do that because it really doesn't matter to them if they have the personal interaction. But I think clients that realize that their customers want to feel like they're relating to a human with emotions and someone that actually cares and doesn't just make you feel like you're in the endless phone tree loop. There's always going to be those clients out there, and they're going to be willing to pay people, what the standard rates are for filling those, requirements.
Well, you hit 2 points on the head. Well, the first one is I want to fire you up to see what antagonizes you. But what I was gonna say is, look at ShopRite, look at Stop and Shop, and Target, and Walmart. They're letting cashiers go to do self-checkout. Okay, the pros about doing self-checkout, if you have one item, you want to get in, get out, fine, whatever. But if you have over like 100 items, if someone said, what is the bar calling bananas? I don't even work here, but I know it is, and I know it now. But
I hate it. I hate self-checkout. If I have more than 5 items, I'm going to be the one that has to stand there and go, help me please. And then, someone has to come help me anyway. So I might as well just wait in the line. And there's a reason that the lines are still longer in the humanly manned checkout lines than they are in the self-checkout, because you know what? I like talking to the cashier.
I do too.
I've had some pretty great conversations with the person checking out my groceries, and you don't get that with a scanner. So
it's true, but the biggest thing is, like I said, it has pros and the cons if you want to get in and out. But for the people who are higher up, they want to save money because it's easier. Is it now going to the other question I want to ask you? It's the same thing about saving a buck. If you watch my other episodes, I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z. And I was like, okay, I want to have like a narrator. like an assistant, and her name was Vidal Rose. I love Vidal. Too bad it's not. That's my daughter's name. If I ever have a daughter, her name will be Vidal.
Vidal, that's beautiful. Yeah.
You say that, but do you know what Vidal means backwards?
No.
Devil.
Oh gosh.
It's still a beautiful name.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that to your child.
I mean, I love the name, and I was like, Dragon Ball has stuff. What meanings mean? You go, Kakarot, Carrot, Vegeta, Vegetables, Piccolo, what an instrument. And I was like, why did you have to ruin Vidal for me? It was a beautiful name. Now I'm gonna think of the damn devil every time I see
it. See, it would have never crossed my mind. Probably, maybe if I saw it written out, it would have. But
it's still a beautiful name.
It is a beautiful name. It is, and that's one of those preconceived. See, that's one of those things we have planted in our head. You could take that and you could, christen a child with that, and it'd be a perfectly beautiful name. But because of our upbringing and preconceived notions, it's going to cause some people to go, ooh, probably.
But yeah, I'm going to pass the show over to you in a couple of minutes. But the first one I want to ask you, there is an application called, actually, let me go back to the voice. And I was like, there's a thing called text-to-speech where you type it out and you can pick the voice, but it sounds robotic. I mean, when you hear the preview, like, I love that voice. But when you actually use the application, it sounds like this. But you can speed it up. I sound like this, then you slow it down. It's cheap. It's not real. It's kind of like, yeah, you can do it yourself on a computer, but when you talk to the person, you want to feel the energy. You want to feel like this is actually the character or the person what they're doing. Like there's this application called, it's funny enough, it's actually called Jarvis, where you would tell Jarvis, hey, can you write something for me, like a paragraph, and it will do that for you. So, I mean, yes, you can always edit it. So, first off, that's, something I would do because I suck at writing, but it's just going to write it automatically. And it's like, yeah, it's nice, but then you have to do is the process of making it sound real and authentic. If you have artificial intelligence snapping your fingers for every little thing, it's gonna be like, don't you have any imaginations? It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like, for me, if I want to write a book, I can tell it what to say, and then I can go to a book writer and say, can you read it over? So yes, there's an easy way of saying, hey, I just wrote my book on these pieces of paper, and not even reading it. I made that mistake on a book I made a long time ago. But if you still work at it, if you take any shortcuts, it's going to bite you in the ass. So never do any shortcuts, never do anything you're not going to stand with. My talk show, I stand by it 100%. So don't do anything, speaking from experience, never do anything if you're not going to stand by it. But I'm going to pass the show over to you. But how do you feel about having artificial intelligence do every little thing for you? Especially being in the business, as you were saying, how they're now going to replace voiceover actors.
I don't think that artificial intelligence will ever take over every aspect of our life, like, the Jetsons, where, you pop a pill in the microwave and it turns into a 3-course meal, or you've got Rosie the robot vacuuming. I might kind of like that. But, they have those robot vacuums now and they just don't really work that well.
No.
But, no, my personality is to want a human connection. Okay, if that means that there are going to be some flaws in it, so be it. When I turn in an audition, actually, I want it to be the best that I can do as far as the recording, the editing, the quality. But if I try to enunciate so perfectly. I don't sound human then. Okay, nobody wants to pay for that because it doesn't sound, they're not getting a sense of the human connection there. And I think that that's a reason that what they call the conversational read has become so popular, because it does have flaws in it. It's got, you might stutter a little, or you might fumble around a bit. Your enunciation may not be perfect. And isn't that how people are? When we talk to each other, we want to feel like it's real and it's authentic. And so, yeah, no, I'm not a fan of having artificial intent. I don't want a car that I can sit in the back seat and take a nap while it drives me somewhere. I don't trust that. So, I mean, maybe I'll get there someday. If people didn't trust the idea of the horseless carriage either, and look where we are now. But yeah, did that answer your question?
Well, I was actually thinking about it last night. If the car is waterproof, I think that would save so many lives.
Probably.
Okay, I mean, okay, yes, the car will sink. And I was thinking to myself, remember I was watching clips from Miracle in the Hudson when Sally, and I was like, do airplanes sink? And I'm thinking to myself after I said it, man, that was a stupid question. It's like, yes, everything sinks, but it's kind of like, won't you be safe too? Yes, your car is submerged in water, but you're in an air bubble and you're okay until they rescue you.
That's true.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I said that's true. I tend to butt in. You're going to have to forgive me. That's my human aspect.
But, it's kind of like with the Apple cars. They look really nice, but it's kind of like, why can't we have cars like from Jurassic World where they're in the ball, little hamster balls? And if they can do that, and God forbid you're in the water, one of my biggest fears is drowning, but you're safe. For me, I don't know. Well, what is your biggest fear?
Oh, I don't terribly love heights. So if we're talking about purely physical fears, it's probably heights. I don't like to be on a roof. I actually have dreams about getting to the edge of a cliff and I'm about to fall. I'm sure I have some deep psychological problem that, that is an indicator of. But so physically, heights are probably my greatest fear. Inwardly, my psychological fears are probably always, a fear of, if I'm going to fail at this, I'm not going to be good enough at whatever, fill in the blank, whatever I'm about to undertake. And that's a process I'm working on now, because failure is not final and it does not define us. It is just a chance to restart. And I have restarted several times in my life in several different areas, and truly believe that I've grown as a human being out of that.
Well, let me ask you about this. This is about, if I find the video, I'll definitely send it to you again. What does practice make?
What does practice make? Well, practice does not make perfect, despite the old saying. Practice makes us learn. It makes us hopefully wiser. It makes us stronger. This is assuming that we are practicing a positive thing. If we are practicing, turning up a bottle or popping pills, it's probably not going to have a real positive effect on our life. So, yeah, let me qualify that by saying, if what we are practicing something makes us more familiar with it, so either way.
No, absolutely. And that's in the video. The guy says to the audience, what does practice make perfect? No, dismantle that right now.
Exactly.
No one is ever perfect. It makes improvements. You will always improve and get better. If I find that video, I'll definitely send it to you. But it's the last 2 minutes. I'm going to pass it over to you. But the last one I want to ask you is, how can our fans and listeners get in touch with you? And are you on social media? Passing it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Keith. Yes, you can find me on my website, which is Lorena at LorenaBelcherVoiceover.com. I am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and you can probably just put in search my name, Lorena Belcher. I think there's only one other one out there that I've found, and I'd love to have anybody out there follow me, message me, interact. I love to make new friends and interact with people. And how about you? Are you on I know you're on Twitter and LinkedIn. Are you also on Facebook?
Yep, I just sent you a friend request.
Ah, perfect.
I may not use all of them, but I'm on Snapchat, I'm on Pinterest. If I like it, I sign up. I say, okay, I'm here. I don't know how to use it, but I'm here.
I think that's a great idea. I'm still I haven't gotten a YouTube channel yet. I haven't done anything with what's the new TikTok that everyone. So I feel really, I'm 56 years old. I feel really like I'm doing pretty darn good to be on 4 social media platforms at this age. I probably love it more than I should. It can be a huge time sucker, but I do absolutely love meeting new people and just welcome anybody who wants to drop by and say hi.
I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now, and would you recommend it to other people?
When you first approached me, I did what I'm always kind of guilty of doing at first, because it was on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get back to him. This sounds really interesting. And then, I left it in my notifications, and I was so glad you reached back out to me and touched base again, because I do tend to do that. Sometimes my box fills up and I go on, but I have completely enjoyed this. I feel like I've made a new friend. I can't wait to follow you on Facebook and check out a lot more of your videos. And yes, I will definitely recommend this, and I'd love to share it on my own social media platforms if I have your permission to do that.
No, absolutely. That's why you're on the show.
Cool. And I thought it was just because you liked my accent,
To be honest, I didn't know you had an accent. But stay tuned to the KeithAndrew Network for brand new episodes. To be notified, hit that notification on YouTube. When you're on Facebook, hit that like, subscribe, share. Our goal is 100 or more views, comments, interacts with me and our guests. Wrapping up our interview, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest. And until we meet again, catch you later.